The role of quarterly national accounts, or QNA, is to provide a picture of current economic developments that is timelier than the annual national accounts, or ANA, and more comprehensive than provided by high-frequency indicators. To meet this goal, the QNA should be timely, coherent, accurate, comprehensive, and reasonably detailed. If the QNA fulfill these criteria, they can serve as a framework for assessing, analyzing, and monitoring current economic developments. By providing quarterly data on economic aggregates in a coherent accounting framework based on the system of national accounts, the QNA allow analysis of dynamic relationships between these aggregates. Thus, the QNA provide the basic data for business cycle analysis and economic modeling. This example shows quarterly and annual GDP data from 2010 to 2014. Note that for this example we have rescaled the annual GDP, shown with a single blue line for each year, to equal the average of the quarterly GDP for each year. In fact, the annual GDP is equal to the sum of the quarterly GDP, except for those countries that rescale their quarterly GDP to show the annual rate. The quarterly data show that the economy was declining from the first quarter of 2010 until the first quarter of 2012, after which it moved up until the first quarter of 2013. Then GDP turned down for the next 3 quarters and finally began growing again in the last 3 quarters of 2014. In contrast, the annual data show the economy contracting from 2010 to 2012, even though the QNA showed that GDP had turned up after the first quarter of 2012. The first indication of that upturn doesn't appear in the annual data until the data for 2013 are published, by which time the QNA data show the economy has already gone through a second downturn. Clearly, the ANA data are not frequent or timely enough to provide practical guidance about business cycles to economic policymakers.